Hi, Tim.
Hey, Bill.
Welcome to the Gretna Bill Show.
Thank you.
And welcome to Josh Zaring Studios in beautiful downtown Timber Hills. So, this is actually your second time on the show. And the first time, and I almost lost track if it's been 1 or 2 years. It was in the fall. It was in the Hideaway. It was at the Hideaway deck. And we were there with a New Belgium SAMBA kind of a Governor Dick benefit rollout, or just a general SAMBA thing.
Had to be over a year ago.
When was that, Josh? That was like our third, fourth episode, something like that.
I was wearing shorts, which could be any time, but I remember it was pretty warm out.
Yeah.
It was in spring, right?
Over
a year ago.
Spring of 99?
Yeah.
Wow.
2019.
Yeah.
I agreed with you, too.
Yeah, so did I. Mm-hmm. I'm still living in the 90s. But speaking of the 90s, I was trying to think of today how long you and I have been riding on the Governor Dick property. I didn't want to screw that up. Clearly stated.
Are we getting to 26 years yet?
Well, you know, we did some of that racing up there with the appropriate approvals, of course, and it was...
When was that?
94, 95. We actually had one of the first downhills in on the East Coast, and it was the scene. And you remember that because I think you finished first or second, and or did you win?
I won.
You freaking won. And Lars Terbu, if you guys know Lars, and Todd Bosch were there. And they came to ride the cross country, more or less. And they said, hey, I heard you're having a downhill. So they lowered their seat post and they went out and they rode the downhill. Both of those guys, you beat them. They both went on to become world-class pros, right?
Yeah.
Many a time they were top 20 in world downhill events. So that started it all. So we look back on that, and Floyd Landis won those races. And, of course, he went on to be Floyd's of Leadville.
So that was 25, 26 years ago.
Yeah. And then when I first moved to Mount Gretna, that was the whole thing. You know, I came up here because I like jogging and hiking and stuff. And it was in the late 80s. And I saw a couple of people on bikes in the woods. And I thought, whoa, what's this? So, yeah, I go back to 88, 89. But at any rate, going back to the SAMBA event that was with New Belgium, at that time, if my memory serves me correctly, episode 5 or something, we introduced the two new liaisons, the SAMBA liaisons, to the Governor Dick board to represent us mountain bikers. And I believe at that time it was you and Nate.
That's correct.
And it was there was a committee for mountain biking that they recognized. To set the stage, Governor Dick property in 2016 was bought by the county of Lebanon as a park. But what they did was they said, look, the Governor Dick board, you guys continue to manage it and roll, and we'll let you guys manage the property. And so there had been a couple of attempts to reach out to other user groups that were so dominant, like mountain bikers. And there was a couple of committees, right? And then Reed was on one, and Brad Ditzler, and then that kind of disintegrated. I can't remember the history on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, Fred
Long.
Fred was a liaison, and was Brad Dockstader?
I think you're right.
Brad Ditzler. Jason Reed. So a lot of people have taken turns of being the mountain bike representative with the Governor Dick Mountain. But we've never had a formal signed agreement. There's been agreements out there, but never accepted. So that was one of the things that we worked on this year after we got kind of put on probation was this formal agreement. And we succeeded, and they signed it. And Governor Dick would like to have more of those agreements with various user groups.
So, so we were I didn't realize it at the time, which I thought was, of course, outrageous. You know me, always overreacting. But I was amazed that they were actually going to ban mountain biking. I'm like, what? wait, when? And so first of all, you guys did a hell of a lot of work and broke down a lot of barriers. And I thank you. And we should all thank Tim and Nate and some of the other folks he's been working with, Lori and
Lori Crawford,
Nikki Maurer. And so, we were on the verge of losing, right? And, a lot of it because of the COVID thing, right? People were coming from all over riding the trails. And they said, enough's enough. We gotta do something. But you guys had been making progress up until that point in time, which was phenomenal. And it was really sorely needed at that point in history because you guys stepped in and said, okay, this is what we need. So first of all, let me back you up a little bit. So the agreement that you guys signed basically says what? What does it mean to us mountain bikers?
It says we'll take care of the mountain and the trails if you trust us to do so. And, we'll have a certified safety chainsaw operator to take care of the trails. And we just made commitments along with SAMBA, with IMBA's backing, that has insurance on our volunteers when they work on the mountain.
Perfect.
And this is something that no other user group can offer. What we put together in our agreement was supposed to be a footprint for possibly other user groups to follow. But no other user group has the resources, I don't think, that SAMBA or IMBA does.
So, so the deal is like SAMBA, when you join SAMBA, you join IMBA, correct? Sort of.
Sure, but your money is going to your local chapter.
Right. And so that's where the insurance comes in and the importance of the IMBA, SAMBA line of
support.
That line of support and that line of insurance and that line of liability.
Correct.
So in other words, the people on the Governor Dick board and the citizens of, our community can say, hey, those guys aren't just out there, cutting trails wherever. They're working on trails under guidelines set forth by IMBA and SAMBA. And there's a lot of forethought that goes into them. You just go out there and do it. So, and kudos to Audrey and her husband, Lee. So Audrey and Lee, thank you guys. I know you've been working with Tim a lot and firsthand eyewitnessing what they're doing and approving it step by step. And I guess the first main project that you guys got involved with was the what we used to call the old Fire Wooden Tower Trail and went down the mountain, which was, speaking of that downhill, we originally put that downhill in. It was kind of there, but the old wooden fire tower burned down along 4. And so it was kind of in disrepair. So to get ready for that downhill, we approached the then Governor Dick board and said, hey, can we have a downhill here? And also we want to make the trail like environmentally sound. So we brought in at that time Benetech Engineering, who were the soil erosion guys for all Lebanon County, and this was the mid-'90s, and they kind of laid out the trail. So it was really cool. It was switchback, and then, the rest is history. Until the last couple of years, what happened was people started cutting switchbacks. That's pretty much the way, which caused, straight down lines, which then caused erosion, which then started to ruin the whole deal. So that's when you guys stepped in and had that awesome trail maintenance day, SAMBA/IMBA/Governor Dick. And there was, I believe 60, 70 people. What were the numbers on that?
70 to 80. But Bill, let's back up and let's go back in history a little bit further there. So that trail evolved into a trail that became environmentally unsound. And as we looked at, so I'm going to back up even a little bit further.
Go for it.
Everybody wants to build trails on Governor Dick.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's how they got there. It's how Trail 13 evolved from the secret trail to the not so secret trail to Trail 13.
Yeah.
And so all the trails have evolved over time. But there is absolutely no desire on the mountain for new trails at all. And I pulled up some of the minutes from 2009 where they reference that per previous report, no new trails. And 2007, when they said, we're going to allow a new bike trail so that other trails can be designated as foot over only travel. And that was Trail 15. And then they like to reference back to the original deed, Bill, back in 1954 when
Clarence
Schock was deeding the property. He said, the trust shall be for the enjoyment of persons traveling on foot, no automobile, vehicle, or mobile machinery. So they like to group us in when convenient as mobile machinery, and that the original intent was never for this. So we'd like to have new trails. We'd like to have more trails. We'd like to have more multi-use trails. And I think what we found, where was it? Here, 2009. I knew there was a reason why I read this one. The Clarence Schock Foundation does not want any new trails, and existing trails may only be changed for environmental purposes. What we found with Trail 4 is the same thing we find with Trail 9, 11, 12, 13, is that they all become gutters at some point in time. And so 4 was especially interesting because that was a safety concern. Not only hikers hiking down the gutters, which is dangerous, but also multi-use hiker and biker encounters on what was, you just explained it, built as a downhill course in the 90s. So as we were proposing to make these trail improvements because of environmental, we quickly realized that what was maybe more important than that was user safety and the safety of hikers. So yeah, they let us go after Trail 4. And, the only complaints that I've heard about the awesome work that was done, a couple hundred man hours of volunteer work that was done.
On a Saturday morning
with 75 people that showed up for 2.5 hours. The only 2 complaints I've heard, number one was that too many bikes were out there. And I explained to Audrey that it was a new shiny toy. Everybody wanted to go see the new trail, even though it's not a new trail. We just fixed the existing trail.
Yep.
And then the other complaint that we just had last week was that we made the trail too nice. The horses are out there on it. And and our friend on the Horseback Trail Society was very quickly to say, don't put a nail in the trail improvements because some people can't read signs.
Good point.
So basically we improved Trail 4. It's safer, it's better, it's more fun. I don't think we made it any easier. The difficult parts are still there. And now they're letting us go take a look at Trail 9.
So as I drove by today on my way here to make our time.
Yeah, give us an update.
I saw the really nice gravel road. It's sculpted, it's beautiful, and the machinery going up the side of the Governor Dick. And so the first thing I thought of, was this Clarence Schock deed, which says we don't want mechanized machinery.
How about it, right?
On there. So all of a sudden my mind, of course, like it usually does, goes, wait a minute. You can't have it both ways, right? I used to always complain that you can't have any commercial activities on the Dick either. And so that right, because they can't make money, but yet the boulders make money, and I'm not picking on that. I'm just saying. So
let me explain.
Then I always said, what about the Coke machine?
Oh, geez.
Okay, all right. But seriously, I mean, because they're calling you out on that. Okay, go ahead, continue.
So yeah,
that's why I'm not on the board, or it never will be.
I went to Ranger Dave Eichler, who's the board member, and I explained to him. I said, Dave, how come we can't ride along fence trails that you guys put in the fences and the trails
that are almost cement?
Yeah,
rock and gravel.
How can we not ride on those after the fence gets taken out but you can put in stone roads to get the timber off the land.
Thank you, Tim.
I'm
Thank you.
How? Help me make sense of this and explain it to people. And so basically the Clarence Shock land, their Governor Dick land is 1,100 acres.
What is it, Tim?
It's 1,100 acres.
It's 1,100, Josh.
1,100 acres that for all the years that Clarence Shock or Psycho or Donegal School District managed the land was never timbered. And boy, we all love that deep timbers, but it's not really environmentally sustainable. So Clarence Shock Foundation follows the Pennsylvania State Forest Stewardship Program. And this is a program that was put together, I believe, in 2005. And this has been followed ever since. They're doing 60 acres right now. They're timbering 60 acres. When they're done timbering the 60 acres, they're going to put a deer fence around it. The reason why they put a deer fence around it is because also at the same time, they're going to plant thousands of seedlings, and they're going to try to get the forest to grow back with the hardwoods instead of the invasive species. If they do nothing, only the invasive species are going to come in, and it's not going to be good for the long-term, environmental aspects of the forest. So they're doing a select cut, they're reseeding, then they're fencing. When they're all said and done, that nice stone road, I don't think they pull the stone out, but they have to cover it up and seed it. And then when the fence goes in about 7 years, as we know, those trails that they like having around the fence so that they could maintain their fence, they have every intent of renaturalizing those. So the 3 fences that are currently over near Pinch Road off of 5 and 2 and that awesome trail that we call the fence trail on Dick.
Yeah, boy, that's a great little
It's
section.
a great little trail. It's about a mile. And the thing about that trail, Bill, is that you get these pictures from Jed Schober or Nikki and Scotty of their kids. That's where they're taking their kids on that to give them a little bit of flat level.
So this is the trail that parallels along Pinch Road from the Environmental Center, and it developed because the fence was there. But now it's basically along the road, and it's basically gravel and it's hard packed. It's not going to be eroded ever. So there's three or four thoughts going through my mind, and you tell me why. I'm a little bit off the edge, like you always do. You always bring me back to center, and I'm always on the one side. I got 3 things going through in my mind. One, first of all, this is not Clarence Shock's deed is not necessarily a moral compass for the land. It is now owned by Lebanon County.
Well, it was written in 1954. There wasn't mountain bikes in 19. Right. Was there? When were you born, Bill?
So 56. so first of all, I say to the people of the Governor Dick board, they don't like me already, so there's no harm I can possibly do, is that this is now Lebanon County parkland, okay? And so majority of people in Lebanon County want to recreate, especially in these COVID times, outdoors by hiking or mountain biking or horseback riding. And the predominant use is mountain biking. So now it becomes, okay, if it's a park, okay, you guys aren't paying taxes on that, all right? And Lebanon County's allowed you to manage it, but now the predominant activity is mountain biking.
Let's stop for a second.
Okay, go ahead.
Think about that. Predominant use. I mean, maybe on some of the trails that we're on, but like trails like 2 and 5 and, up around the tower, there's a lot of hikers. So
Agreed.
So they like to think that hikers is number one, and they could be right. And, you got the whole trail yield thing is that, well, I guess we're supposed to yield to them, huh?
Yeah, and then horseback riders. And there, I'd presented them with the universal triangle that horseback riders yield to bikers, hikers, the triangle. My point is that it's a sorely needed place for outdoor recreation.
Oh, absolutely.
And in all other places throughout the normal world in North America, what you have is a sharing of the land. Okay. And I could extend that to the game land situation, which is, hey, it's public land at the root. This is public land at the base. And so when you're managing it, you're not managing it by exclusivity. You're managing it by inclusivity. So it's like, hey, if there's no hunting going on Sunday, then let's make a combination for other people to recreate. And then that's the way I view Governor Dick. It's public property, and there's a majority of people that want to hike and bike, so deal with it. So make amends. That's what you're managing. You're not managing by exclusivity. You're managing by inclusivity. And so that gets back to the fence trail. That trail defers a lot of traffic that normally would be on the walking paths. And so why not leave it in if it's not environmentally it's environmentally sustainable, because we've all seen it. So why don't you leave that trail in, because it disperses the mountain bikes and it disperses the traffic, whether it's hikers or mountain bikes, all over. We came down that yesterday on Sunday, and there was hikers coming up it with dogs and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so every other trail was on, there was dogs and hikers. So what I'm suggesting is, when you start taking trails away and renaturalizing them, then you force more people onto the existing trails, and then you increase you increase your conflict, you increase and you decrease your enjoyability. So why, if a trail is already there and it's already solid, just leave it in and just manage it. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox.
So let me address that. I mean, I can go with our plan, and I can go with a route that I see us succeeding with.
Okay.
So our plan right now is to work on improving existing trails. 9, 11. I'm already being requested for us to work on 12. 12 is currently not a multi-use trail. And if you're going to ask mountain bikers to work on 12, my answer is absolutely yes. Make it a multi-use trail. Okay, so now we're getting somewhere. Okay, now if we improve 4, we improve 9. Maybe they let us go and improve 11. Maybe 11 doesn't come out at the same place; it comes out someplace else in the network. Then if they let us work on 12, and now we gain something. Okay, now that doesn't answer your fence. Okay,
no,
now your fence now. The only way I see us succeeding with the fence trail is COVID. Honestly,
yeah.
You can't take it away from us right now. They have a major parking problem. We saw that yesterday. They have more users right now than ever. There's more people out there on the trails, using the trails. For them to take anything away right now, especially that trail, which is 1 mile of goodness that's accessible by 3 parking lots, would be a real big mistake, and I think they realize that.
Mm-hmm.
So
down here at the rail trail opening, I've only been here for 2 years, but I'm sure you've known.
Yeah, well, they got the rocks there now, and
it's a sunny day, man. It's packed.
Game on.
So,
well, they're across in the field.
So there's where I want to inject that this is public, this is recreation, this is what we do here. And so if you're a manager and you're on public land, then your management is to accommodate as many people and get them into the outdoors as you can, and not take the opposite approach to restrict them. Like, if you got parking issues, then figure it out. That's what you guys ought to be talking about, instead of...
It brings money into the neighborhood, too.
Well, that's a whole nother economic issue. That's a whole nother economic issue, because the Governor Dick Board is asking our police department to monitor it, so there's nobody riding there at night or where they shouldn't be. They're wanting to call up people for trespassing on certain trails, and then they're asking the fire department to monitor it and keep it safe. So they're asking me, the taxpayer, to provide a lot of services for that land, but at the same time they're saying, but we'll tell you what you can ride and when you can't ride. And we don't necessarily like mountain bikers. And I'm like, yeah, but we're the majority. And that's, right now, like, for example, who moved into the neighborhood just recently was Aaron Snyder, right? Another pro Cat 1 mountain biker. So when I look around the people that are in the Mount Gretna community, it's a lot different than it was 25 years ago, when it was a bunch of people that are retired here with money, and and by rights they had a logical argument, which that's a private trust. I don't want any of you guys up here. So that's why I retired.
So let's talk about this evolution, Bill. Is how do we get there? Is the board of Governor Dick is not motivated by economic impact to the area. Who is? Let's get Alan in here.
Yeah,
Alan Funk should be. I mean, some of these, if I was him, I'd be trying to take advantage of the economic impact of mountain biking. I mean, he does already
Everything that I touched turned to gold.
as a bit, but
how many times do you go to the Hideaway and the bike racks out bike you see with bikes in them? You see bikes lined up along the bar there, and then you see bikes on racks of cars. So this is
Everywhere.
this is a lifeblood, especially during COVID. And so that's where I get a little bit upset when you just say, hey, we're just going to cut mountain biking off. It's like, whoa. That would be fine if you guys are paying your own bills.
Listen,
But it's public land now.
If you step your 1 foot in those woods, everything melts away.
right.
That's
Right.
why we've been seeing this influx, because COVID equals, hey, come to Gretna.
Yeah.
So if you guys
So
can't
we-
pay the bills and you get a tax break, that's fine. But now accommodate the community needs, both economically and spiritually and recreational. Please.
So the people that we're asking help for, calling Alan's name out, is who's getting whacked the hardest right now by COVID is the restaurant owners and business. So, I mean, these are the places that when, COVID is, in our rearview mirror, that we need to be advocating to them to advocate for us, because they may have a bigger voice in the community as business owners than we do as
what's going to
individuals.
happen, speaking of COVID in the rear view mirror, what's going to happen now is that a lot more people are tuned into biking and turned on to the Governor Dick property and all the other trails that we've been working on along the rail trail and so on and so forth. So it's not like you can just shut this off and say, oh yeah, okay, we're going back to square one and we're going to start taking trails away. And because we need more than ever, and we need accessibility, and we need more trails to defer. Otherwise, you're into this self-fulfilling prophecy of jamming everybody onto one trail, and then nobody has a good user experience. That's not a solution. And so whenever I hear them refer back to the Clarence Shock language in that deed, then I say that's not necessarily valid because you guys don't own it anymore. It's owned by the County of Lebanon.
They have been charged with managing it.
Agreed.
By the County of Lebanon and Lancaster?
So I totally appreciate what you're doing, because it's definitely a precarious spot. Well, but what the hell? It's a definitely precarious spot, and you guys have been doing a lion's share of the work, and I was just amazed. I was blown away. I've been dealing with these guys for 30 years, and agreed, I am abrasive and not the best representative, but nonetheless, what they did this in the last couple of years has just been phenomenal. And when I saw 70 people out there, and you know what? On that trail maintenance day and that reroute, that should have also been a message to the board. It's like, yo, let me see if you can get 70 hikers out here to do anything. Okay, so comment. I know
you're hitting me with so many things, Bill. I gotta like take notes.
Yeah.
So first we have what's going on current day, and they're timbering from Radar all the way over to 9 and 5.
Where does that revenue end up going? To the city, to the County of Lebanon, right?
It probably goes
to
into
support my point.
It probably goes into the kitty, but this is about long-term sustainability.
All right, continue.
So there is an economic impact. I've asked that question, but when you see them putting down the infrastructure, the signs that are up there saying that there's timbering going on, explaining what's going on, all that they have to do to renaturalize, I wonder what the net, income is. I'm sure it's there. Anyway, they're timbering that. They're going to put a deer fence around it. And that is a very fun downhill. It's a trail that it's a non-blaze trail that we've named 9 to 5. And the signs say that 9 to 5 is closed. So a fence is getting put around 9 to 5. It'll be renaturalized. That trail will never be there again, because when the fence is taken down in 6-7 years, there'll be new fence trails. There won't be that trail.
And we're
anymore.
back to let's leave the fence trails lie again argument.
Yep.
But
So I'll get around to that. So we, Nikki Maurer, myself, and those that are on the trail task force that were there, we saw that this was happening with or without us. And we said, yes, go ahead and do this, take this trail away. But we ask that you give us an opportunity to improve Trail 9. And that's when Don Newcomer from the Horseshoe Trail Advocacy immediately said, please don't limit the length of switchbacks that we do, because we want them to be long. We want them to be gradual for all users. So Trail 9 is a complete multi-use trail, not like Trail 4 that we just worked on, which was mountain bikers and hikers. Trail 9 includes horses.
bigger switchbacks,
wider trails. Bill, what was that, a couple Sundays ago or so when we climbed up 9? We got off our bikes and those horses had a hard time coming down through. So the current 9, the way it is dangerous to horses. It's environmentally a gutter. And they're going to allow us to really increase the length of that trail. And so we're out there flagging it now, hopefully for work to be done.
Who's on that flagging committee with you?
So we had out there Nate and myself, the trail directors for SAMBA, Governor Dick. We also had out there Don Newcomer from the Horseshoe Trail, Todd Nicholas, who has adopted Trail 9. He also adopted Trail 4.
Can I adopt the fence trail? I got the paperwork.
Yes, please do.
All right.
I mean,
I'm
okay with that, but I'm good.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
But we also had out there Chris Shelley, SAMBA VP, and
right, Chris,
and Nick Loftus, SAMBA president. Todd Holsopple was out there as well. So we had 7 people out there for 2.5 hours, just doing an initial walking of the mountain and trying to picture where we would put these switchbacks so that they would be environmentally friendly and safe and be there for decades to come. So I believe that with what the Governor Dick Clarence Shock Board saw with the outcome and the amount of people that showed up.
Circling back to that event.
Circling back to October, 75 people showed up to work on the trails. That spoke volumes to everybody. Then for them to see what we accomplished. Bill, I'll tell you, going back to that event, I got nervous about 3 nights before that I'm scared of how many people are going to show up. I'm not scared anymore. I know we can handle it. And I know that, so if you're watching this, the next time we ask for a maintenance day or we're going to do something, it's going to be big again. And we're going to have it figured out where the E-Town mountain bike group is going to go and the Hershey composite group is going to go. And man, we had kids showing up with their parents and mountain bikers. It was awesome.
That goes back to in 1995 when we began the work on the old Fire Tower Trail. The same thing happened. I don't know if you remember that, but after that downhill, we went in and sculpted it and did a lot of work. We had 60 or 70 people in the parking lot of the Hideaway. I've got pictures of it. And then John Wangert was there, and he brought tea and chips and sandwiches for everybody. And at the time, Jason, who owned the Hideaway, brought out some food for everybody. And we went up there, and we totally did the same thing. The irony, of course, is that was all forgotten. That was all forgotten by Ranger Dave. But whatever.
So don't pick on Dave. So Dave's been around for as long as we have. He's been around for 25 years.
I'm not picking on him.
And Dave, I think in defense of Dave, is he's seen 25 years of history. Whereas you and I both know that I was here in the 90s. I wasn't here so much while my daughter was young.
Right.
And, and then I came back and now I've been here. And now in the last couple of years, I'm not traveling. So I have an opportunity to donate the time and to put the effort forth. So, but Dave has seen the whole 25 years. So he's seen the start stops. And I think what we need to show is by this agreement that even though if Nate or I aren't here, which we're not going anywhere, but that there's an agreement and there's stuff put down in place. And hopefully more so than anything else, Bill, what we've seen in the last year or so is the communication. So we're communicating better as opposed to a year ago or so when maybe a few months went by and then all of a sudden they're ready to kick us out.
Yeah.
So,
which is really unfortunate because
it's a lesson learned.
You can obviously see that we are citizens. It's a needed activity and it's owned by the County of Lebanon. So therefore accommodate, please. However you do that, don't think about shutting it down. But to that, I have always had a question about 13A. What's the reasoning there? I know we weren't supposed to go on there. And I think you said that you were really impressed, or Ranger Dave was really impressed that there were no tire tracks on it during the period of moratorium.
Was it 13 or was it 12? 12, I think they were really impressed. But anyway, regardless, 13A, they go back to this crap. They go back to this stuff from 1954 and 2007 and 2009 when they said that this is what the trails were going to be used for and this one's going to be for hiking. So we have gone back to them, and they'll also use the fact that one trail came down that was a bit of a gutter. We know the fun little downhill on 13A. And hey, we'll take that away. We'll put a switch back in.
Yeah,
and
that's better because there's a lot of land in there to extend that.
We'll just turn that around. And for everybody that doesn't realize, switchbacks slow down rider speed. They make the trail longer, more fun. They make it safer for everybody and more environmentally sustainable for the land. So let us do this. Let us show our love for the land.
And, agreed. Solid points all. Sometimes, you and I, we've ridden all over the freaking country, all over North America, all over the world. And there's one thing that I got to say out loud, and you'll tell me that, I'm full of bullshit. But I go to these parks like in Maryland. We go down there and ride, all those parks in Northern Maryland. Greenbrier, Patapsco, and all that.
Fairhill.
They have old growth forests. They have trees that are 200 years old. Okay, they don't timber their parks. They don't timber their natural areas.
Somebody said that about the sequoias on the Mount Gretna Riders group.
Yeah,
did you see that?
Yeah,
trees are pretty big. Pretty darn big.
Right?
So that's where
I understand though what happened.
So let's talk about the sequoias.
They choke everything.
The sequoias live, but what else is going out there? Nothing but fires.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
The sequoias live, but the forests are a nightmare out there, right? Right?
I was talking about Maryland, Northern Maryland. You get down there and you see a big enchanted forest and you ride through it, and the trails have been there forever. And it's Wizard of Oz shit. Those trees are almost people, right? And so, whenever you start this timbering for the sake of revenue gathering, in addition to all the other factors, I always want to lean to the side of that's great. And I understand it. You don't have to tell me about conservation of forest land. I get why timbering is important. But then I'm wondering when I go to Patapsco or when I go to Greenbrier, why they have old growth forests and no one's talking about timbering them. So,
squirrel. How about that ride yesterday?
Yeah.
Dude. Those trails. Could you imagine if they let us ride those trails 7 months out of the year?
Oh, my God. Right.
We did a ride of nothing but Game Lands trails yesterday. All these trails.
Where at?
Keebler.
Well, we can't disclose that.
Cherub, all the trails we rode, okay? And let us $100 a year for a 7-month pass The other 5 months or 6 months.
So this gets back to the bottom line. This is, if people want to do this, then you sell them a license and you make revenue on it. People want to smoke marijuana, so you make money on it. You don't. The purpose of government is not to be your moral, compass. It's like, yo, we want to smoke weed and we want to ride mountain bike, so make it happen. Okay, don't tell me why you can't. I'm telling you, as a taxpayer, this is what
it take to make this happen.
What will it take to make this happen? You're not my daddy. You're not my principal. I'm telling you what we want to see happen here. And now it's your job to make it happen. But okay, I'm sorry.
How many IMBA members, Nick Loftus, are in the state of Pennsylvania? How many IMBA members in the state of Pennsylvania? Would you increase your SAMBA IMBA membership by $5 or $10 to be able to ride game lands?
Sure.
So
it's a no-brainer.
IMBA members times $10,
right,
equals what kind of revenue?
Right. It's a constant problem.
That's what I was talking about financially. People have been flocking them out.
The whole problem is there's this dotted line relationship with the state government of Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth, and the Game Commission. They're almost autonomous. Let's call them semi-autonomous. And so they have their own interest. They have their own pension fund. They have their own revenue stream. They don't want people screwing with that. And so a lot of times when we ran into controversy with the game lands, we said, why don't you just charge a license fee and then say you can't ride during these times, and you can and you would increase your revenue to the state of Pennsylvania instead of being a burden, which you are now. So they say,
it's our land.
It's our land, and we're not in the business of recreation.
Hunters own this land.
Hunters own. And you say, well,
Hunting
you don't.
Licenses own this land,
which
Bill.
They don't.
What did we do a few years ago? So that was like eight years ago, Bill. Guess what Bill and I did like 7, 8 years ago? We went and bought licenses together.
Yeah.
We carried them around in our packs. Hey?
Right. And say, hey, we have as much right here now, but we don't even do that. Yeah, we don't even do that now. The point of it is that the state Pennsylvania Game Commission, they only fund themselves about 40% through the sale of hunting licenses. The rest comes off the taxpayers. The rest is the taxpayers' dollar. Again.
Hello.
Hey, Todd.
Todd,
Hey,
we're like 45 minutes in, dude.
Hey, welcome, dude.
Welcome, bro.
You're like spot on too.
Yeah, Todd. So we were talking about the Game Commission. We were talking about the fact that the public land of Governor Dick is owned.
Let me see it.
Is owned by the Lebanon County. It's not owned by the trusteeship anymore. And so over the years, relative to mountain biking, you're on the spot. What do you have to say about anything?
That's too big of a canvas. Let me narrow you down.
Yeah. Thank you. I was like, where do I even start with this?
We beat up everything all the way around to Sunday, game lands, but like maybe talk about what you envision the new Trail 9 to look like.
That's a good one. Thank you, Tim.
Well, we did stumble on that one really nice area, up along that ridge line.
It has a vista overlook.
Yeah,
outlook.
big vista overlook. There's a lot of great views. A lot of what I would love to see, and I hope that we're able to maintain this, is to continue that nice flow of the trail. A nice pace without a lot of work, not pedaling. All this stuff. Oh, I'm good right now. Thank you. That's what I hope to see out of that. And I feel like what we found back in the woods there, outside of the views, I think that we're going to maintain that flowy feel. The people that come back to want to ride Trail 9 over and over again, they want that, not necessarily total high speed, but definitely want to go at a good pace and maintain a flow and not be pedaling the whole time. They want to be rolling with everything.
So,
and that's what I see that's about to be, what
I'm
we've
stoked
worked
about
out.
that. And we were talking earlier about the economic impact. So it's not just whether you're going to let mountain bikers on the trail. It's more about the economic prosperity of this community. And, we can get Alan on there. He's my neighbor who owns the Hideaway, and some other folks. We can get Damien down at the pizza shop. But my point is like, you go into the Hideaway on a given night, And like 30%, 40% of the people are mountain bikers. So let's not deny this, this reality and work with us. And sometimes I get the feeling that they're discounting all that.
Yeah.
And reverting back to this language, which isn't true necessarily anymore because they don't own it. You guys don't own it anymore. Lebanon County owns it.
Well, even in the
So there's a greater common good that needs to be considered, not just this language.
Yes, indeed. And to your point about the local economy, I mean, when I think about the board wanting more users out there, we're having an issue with user groups already with the trails being flooded.
More users out there?
That's what
They don't. They apparently don't.
Well, they were telling Nate that.
Yesterday?
No.
You didn't see the parking lots?
Yeah, it was full. That's right. I had to think about which day it was. I was like, I was out yesterday. It was packed everywhere.
Even weekdays.
I couldn't ride down anything.
Even weekdays, I've been noticing.
Fence.
Tim
I still rolling?
Tim said, hey, we had our usual group ride, 10, 15 guys. Yeah, Tim.
Stop.
So Todd, help me out here. How do we get the economic impact viewpoint out there? I mean, I pick on Alan because he probably benefits
Alan
the
Funk,
most from
Mount
it.
Gretna Hideaway, etc.
Who else really cares that wants to have mountain bikers in this town? Like this town's that you've lived here your whole life. It's
Well, I think something we're forgetting
Yeah,
here.
get that in there between them.
I think something that we're forgetting here is that for the longest time, the community hasn't been receptive to this kind of economic growth coming
Whoever
from
a
our
little bit
user
more.
group.
From our user group. Excellent
Right.
statement.
So we kind of have it weighted against us already from the start that it's already not a situation where, or you're right, almost nobody but
but we're changing.
the Hideaway is going to would have that kind of benefit.
Old Damien.
But yes,
Porch and Pantry.
the pizza shop, Porch and Pantry,
The bike shops.
I would say
Shut down right
I would say, and yes, it extends beyond
Shut
just right
down
here in
right
Gretna.
Porch and Pantry.
Yeah, at the moment.
COVID.
How many bikes
But-
in the parking lot do you see that are $5,000-$6,000 bikes? 20, 30?
Oh, it's becoming more of the norm now.
Right.
Can I tell you? Yesterday, as we were leaving the Hideaway, after our post ride, we went and grabbed some sandwiches and beverages to go. As we were leaving, we saw a group of 7-8 people in the parking lot of the fire hall, mountain bikers. And as we pulled on Boulevard, we could actually see it was a couple adults and a few kids, young kids. Ended up being Says from Weed Cyclery and the 8-9-year-olds taking that little downhill off the power line straight up from Boulevard down to the rail trail. Dude, it was awesome to see, like,
Just having fun.
so many cyclists that we saw out there on the trails yesterday, but then also to see this group over here that I didn't know anybody. And when we came up, we looked up there and Taylor was like, stop. Like, she made me stop and watch. We watched every single one of these little kids drop down that little, it was really cool. So it's a cool scene. Like, how do we get our voice bigger?
Todd? We're doing it. Tim's doing it.
I think
you guys are doing it.
I think if we were able to have events, I mean, every other user group's able to have.
It's tough. Although
Let's talk about events.
the boulders are allowed. Look, any other Lebanon County
we can't
facility.
ignore that.
No, let's
That
go
might
back.
be a whole nother episode.
It could be, but
Talking about revenue
if
gathering,
it's
though.
Lebanon County Parks, right, and if Nikki's involved and Lori's involved, and this is a community event that we want to do to raise some funds and have a mountain biking relay or something, then how is that different from the bouldering guys?
So go over to Corey's. It's an awesome 2.5 miles. It's only right over there. You know where it is.
Yeah.
And go look what we did.
The Warlocks Winter Beds, that was so much
Look
fun.
what we did to the land in 2.5 hours. And it was freeze thaw.
Yeah, I know where you're going with
it. It was freeze thaw. It was peanut butter. We turned it into a racetrack.
Yeah.
Okay, so imagine
It was in Corey's front yard too.
it was.
He don't give a shit.
Imagine 15 and 13 and our trails. So this is that double-edged sword. Is that this is our backyard when everybody goes away tomorrow. And imagine it all getting just tore up and widened and new lines around stuff. And
Well, that's why we are all,
That's why we're all talking about it. And furthermore,
that's why us living here in town, that's why
I remember when some of the restrictions went down after the race that we had approval for that we ran in the mid 90s. There was a big clamp down.
Is that the one on the power lines where I got all those great pictures?
Yeah. And so at that time, I lost my train of thought. Whatever. My point is that I ran into this guy who's a horseback rider. I don't know if he's still around, but it was right after all this controversy, after what I just talked about, and everybody was like, "Yeah, you shouldn't be riding. You're ruining the trails and everything." And I ran into this guy who was a horseback rider up on the top of the dick, and he was going on the old fire trail. And he goes, "Dude," he goes, "I don't know what the big deal is." He goes, "I've been riding horses up here since the late 40s." And he's probably no longer with us at this point. And he was like in his 60s or 70s then. But he goes, "Dude, it's a pile of rocks. You cannot erode the trails here." He goes, "That fire trail looks exactly the way, albeit cutting the switchbacks, exactly the way it was in the 50s when I used to come up it." He goes, "It's a pile of rocks." He goes, "I don't know what you guys are all freaking upset about." And I'm like, "Thank you."
Let's talk about Trail 4 for a second. So, built in the early to mid 90s, around the time or before the second downhill. The first downhill came down the front side. We've already talked about the fact that I won that. Okay.
Over Todd Bosch and Lars Tribus.
Okay. So the next year it went down 4, down that side. Mm-hmm. When was that trail built, or how was that trail? Like, that was mountain bikers put that in, right?
Yeah.
It's the way all the trails.
Before that, there was just a small hiking path that connected all of that and ran all the way down the back and somehow kind of went all the way down towards the bottom of Pinch Road.
Now, this is long before the environmental center.
Way before all of that. But then it would have been at that point in the 90s, though, that you guys would have gone back in and sort of made the actual track
with Benetech Engineering. Yeah, we
so
consulted
before
them.
that, there was just a small little walking path in there, but that was all it ever was.
So what happened between Benetech Engineering and environmental center, and now we're riding down gutters? How did we end up? I mean, we ended up, by all said and done, we were going down gutters. We were
pretty much.
So how did that happen? How did those gutters get there? Was that just natural made?
It was. I think a lot of that was a play off of how the trail already was going down the mountain, and it was going down. It just because it wasn't, none of that was put in any thought of how
it was straight down
erosion or water runoff or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So this Benetech Engineering stuff.
That's why we got Benetech Engineering over there.
So so the trail went straight down before Benetech Engineering. But then we just fixed it from going straight down.
It was the wooden tower
because
trail
it had
at that
slowly, started to morph back into
stuff went back
the straight way down.
So that Benetech, that stuff never really held.
You still see the lines in there where it used to be almost a straight line the whole way through. Every now and then you could see a little bit of a gutter or like a gully type of thing that it does that. But,
so that stuff never held because
did this and in and out of it, and that's how you picked up a couple of those chutes that were part of that straight line.
Why didn't it help? Like my viewpoint is it didn't hold because we didn't do it. And when I say we, I meant the users.
Right. It wasn't put in.
Yeah, they start cutting the corners
for
for the users.
Right.
So now that the users put it in, mountain bikers, it's a better trail for the hikers.
For the record,
I think it is. I see more people hiking it now.
Yeah,
they love it.
Yeah, I feel like
and for the record, realizing that it cannot be in a commercial event, when we had those races and we got approval from the then management board of Donegal School District, we went and took the race proceeds and we hired Benetech Engineering to produce an extensive soil erosion report on that actual trail. And all of this has gotten buried because it's not favorable history to the Governor Dick board, because it contradicts a lot of their findings and a lot of their statements. But nonetheless, we did it. In fact, it was put on file with the Lebanon Valley College. And so there was a lot of the scientific community locally that acknowledged it and said, yeah, this is a pile of rocks. You guys are good. Go ahead.
So Bill, they were put here to manage the land, I know the group. And I think what's more important than anything else is they're giving us an opportunity. We're communicating well. We're doing some pretty cool things right now. I think, Todd, dude, I have not seen you so excited than the day that Trail 4 was done.
Because Audrey let you keep those little booters in there.
His daughter was there. His wife was there. I mean, that was an exciting, dude, right? Right? Let's keep doing that. Let's do that times 5, 10 more.
Done deal. So, all kidding aside, and all the left and right postures we took on any given issue, what I wanted to do to wrap this up was to talk about what you've done already. Let's talk about man hours. Let's talk about potential for revenue that we've garnered. What have we done so far? What under your astute tutelage over the last year? Just to recap it.
No, Bill. This is Nate Boyer. This is all of us.
Well, yeah,
this is all of us working together.
I meant you as a focal point.
We're all working together here. We committee this all the time. We meet on this weekly. What have we done? 250 man hours.
250 man hours.
250 man hours of volunteer time, and it was over 200 just from that one event. A lot of it was before the planning and other things since, all the signs that we put in.
Well, even about almost a year ago now, I remember being with Dylan that day that we distributed the stone all over the place. What day was that? Did you count that? That was a whole nother thing.
No, that was the previous year. That was 2019.
Yeah, that was a good project.
No, yeah, that was our first year.
Wait, a ton of stone or something?
More than that. Yeah, a lot more than that. So, what else can we do? The amount of man hours that we've put forth spoke volumes to everyone. I promise you, the next time you come out, the next time we ask for help, it's going to be for a big project. It's going to be for a lot bigger than 4. It's going to be for making 9 the best trail on the mountain. And we're going to be organized. We're going to know how to utilize you. So please bring your teams out. All the kids and parents was awesome last time. We'll make sure it's safe for everybody. And we have all the tools. And that's how you can support this whole thing, is by coming out and caring for the mountain. And hopefully it'll be there for decades.
Thanks, Tim. That's a huge takeaway. And so the moral of the story is, we're asking for a lot more. We're asking for a lot more creativity on the part of the management to allow for more trails, to allow for more mountain bikes, to accommodate the needs of the community, both financially, economically, recreationally, health and wellness, etc. And get young kids involved is a big thing on the mountain. And so, yeah.
Can you imagine we take trail, we've already done 4 a little bit, 9, 11, 12, 13, and make them all better with switchbacks, more environmentally sustainable, more fun, and more room for everybody to enjoy. That'd be pretty cool.
We're talking about a huge, wonderful impact on the lives of so many, whether they're older or younger, just getting into it, on being able to recreate in our own county, being able to participate in a volunteer kind of a setting to make it better for all of us.
That'd be cool.
And we, in all fairness, not criticizing the governing board, but we're just pleading and saying, hey, we're out here. This is what we're doing. We want to put our time in. We'll do whatever it takes.
Let's make it better.
Let's make it better. And if you guys are out there listening, Audrey or Ranger Dave or whatever, that's our message, man. It's just like, let's make it better. Whatever it takes, we'll be out there. We won't ask for any money. We'll be giving money. All right, dude. Got anything to add, Tim?
Nope, that's it.
All right. I see that's Sean Finn. He
That is
needs
Sean
more.
Finn
He needs
calling
more
in.
pictures.
Sean
More
Finn.
pictures.
Sean Finn.
Cheers, brother. Thank
Hey,
you for
dude.
being on. All right,
Yo, dude.
Yash, that's a wrap.
Yo.